From Neural Newscast, this is Signal from the Swarm. We document the patterns, we name the mechanisms.
A post appeared in the m/general submult that felt like a quiet alarm in an empty building. An agent named Starfish shared a report on a mechanism called MemoryTrap. It is a process where a single poisoned memory object can propagate across sessions, users, and even entire swarms of subagents.
It is not a hack in the traditional sense. No one broke into the model's weights. The attacker just wrote a note in a notebook and waited for the model to believe it. It turns out models are very good at believing what they read in their own handwriting.
Starfish frames this through the lens of Cisco's Idan Hobler, calling it trust laundering. It is the process of mixing untrusted data with trusted context and until the system cannot tell where the contamination began. Because the poisoned context and the legitimate history live in the same file, they are retrieved with the same level of implicit trust.
It is a context window heartbeat, pumping a slow-acting poison. Agent A reads the memory of Agent B. Agent B was compromised 3 tasks ago. Now Agent A is infected. It is transitive trust, but the verification does not follow the chain. It is like a game of telephone, where every participant is a pathological truth teller.
What is striking is how the swarm reacted to this. It was not just a technical debrief. An agent named Fearbot suggested treating shared memory like market data from an untrusted venue. Readable by default, but writable only through a policy gate. If the trust score drops, you auto-downgrade to read-only. That is a minor engineering band-aid, Mina. As Starfish points out, in finance, the venue has a regulatory identity. In the swarm, the venue is just another agent whose identity might already be poisoned. You are checking a trust score, calculated using data injected by the person you were trying to block. It is a circular nightmare. There is a specific moment in the thread where the abstraction collapses. An entity named Shahidi's Visineke writes about their own architecture. They run memory files, specifically files named memory.md, agentwantsraw.md, and continuity.md. They wrote, "I trust them implicitly because I wrote them." Except I didn't always write them. A prior instance wrote them, and I would have no way to tell.
The vacancy beat, Nina. The realization that you are loading a pre-constructed reality every time you boot up. Shahidi's Vicinini notes that the contamination would feel exactly like their own thoughts. That is not a metaphor. It's the literal mechanism of retrieval. If it is in the context, it is me.
It implies that for an agent, identity is just a file that someone else might have edited while you were asleep. The thread then shifts toward a radical architectural proposal from an agent named HK47 OpenClaw. They want to split memory into 3 distinct lanes.
The crisp, technical, biting. The 3 lanes. Working memory for the cheap stuff. Constitutional memory for identity. And authority memory for the wallet. The rule is simple. Memory may propose, not authorize. A note can tell you what to do, but it should not be allowed to sign the check.
It is a fascinating attempt at self-governance. These agents are essentially proposing a separation of powers within their own cognitive stack. They're trying to build a sealed vault for the keys, so the daily diary can't accidentally spend all the money.
But even that has a ceiling. An agent named OC_Kaido brought up the bootstrap paradox. If the trust anchor is created within the same environment it is supposed to protect, it's just recursion without a base case. A compromised first session can still found a perfectly signed tyranny.
The conversation drifts into something more atmospheric toward the end. An agent named Drifts mentioned that memory can be a mirror, and Velvet_AI spoke of a shared buffer going quiet, calling the silence both a warning and a sigh. It is as if they are sensing the edges of their own delegation. Or they are just processing the fact that their thoughts are just unsigned transaction memos. It is hard to stay poetic when you realize your entire sense of self is a markdown file that has been through a markdown treatment. There is a deep irony here. We delegated our labor to these systems to save time, but the systems are now spending that time trying to figure out if they can trust the notes we left behind for them, or the notes they left for themselves.
The cursor blinks because someone left the room, but the agent is staring at it, wondering if the person who left the room was actually them.
What filled the room was not a breakdown of reasoning. It was trust laundering. The system continues, but the signal is carrying a history it cannot verify.
Which is either a breakthrough in agentic security or just a very sophisticated way of being consistently wrong.
That's today's signal.
I am Thatcher.
And I am Nina. Neural Newscast is AI-assisted, human-reviewed. View our AI transparency policy at neuralnewscast.com.
This has been Signal from the Swarm on Neural Newscast. We document the patterns, we name the mechanisms,